I mean, speaking of getting back to normality there, and probably one of the better sort of stories that came out from the Raptors in recent days there is obviously finally putting a bow on this Masai Golden State saga that has been dragging on with lawsuits and courts and all of that there. Is this finally some real vindication for Masai? And does it just even his poise and is sort of how he's handled this entire process throughout, does that just bode well for him and how not only people within the organization but players around the league sort of view him and his leadership with the Raptors moving forward?
Yeah, I first of all, like whatever was said, like Masai Ujiri is one of the most respected sports executives in all of sport. So I don't ever think anybody ever thought differently of what could have happened courtside. When the reports first came out, I would say that a great majority of people thought, okay, law enforcement officer, Masai, maybe got out of control, just trying to get on the floor. Like I know Masai very well. I consider him a friend, as also somebody I cover, and I cover it the same way, friend or whatever. I'm completely unbiased and objective that way, but I can tell you that I've seen executives in that situation probably try to push through, and maybe something happened. I think that's what happened when it first came up.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I didn't say that because I was there and I saw that guard. Unbeknownst to a lot of people, myself and my producer Michael Hammerney, that guard was at us first. We had our accreditation. We didn't have this special little band. And this guy was a dick, total dick. And he was physically pushing us back. No, you can't come on. He said, we have our accreditation. We're with the Raptors. And we're being very nice, being very Canadian. And I said, at first he was like just standing there. And then he was getting a little more aggressive, getting in our face. Like, no, he said, I told you, you cannot get on that floor. And I'm like, wow. And then, some words were exchanged, probably not friendly words from both sides. And he was the guy that initiated. Didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think anything of it. We snuck around. We got on the floor anyway.
Yeah.
For the broadcasting the game.
Yeah.
I got a microphone in my hand. I'm getting ready to go down there. Like clearly, we're broadcasting the game. So, and I saw Masai. He was down near the right-hand side of us in the corner. I saw him. I kind of gave him that look. This is before it happened. He had the big smile going. Remember that. And I thought about him because I thought, geez, this must be what a great moment for him. What an absolutely great moment from everything he's been able to pull off. The ultimate poker player, to get Kawhi, to bring a team, the salt rate, all of those things, the risk factor, to beat the best teams and to win an NBA championship. He's always been respected as one of the greatest executives. Now he could be the greatest executive, what he just did. And I was sitting there thinking, and then all that happened. I didn't even think about it. We did our post game. We did a post game. We went to the Raptors party where I saw him after. But through it all, Masai came over, did an interview with us. There was something about him that just didn't seem, and I thought he was, maybe because he was emotional, he just didn't seem joyous. There was something like, maybe he was thinking like, am I going to lose Kawhi or something? It just didn't seem, it seemed a little off kilter, just a little bit. Didn't think about it. Went to the party. I had to leave because I had a CFL game the next night in Edmonton. Got back and then I heard and I read. And then I saw the picture of the guy. I went, that's the dude. That's the guy who did. And I had no doubt then. That's exactly, because I think everybody thought, he might have been overzealous and just try to get to the floor. As you would as an executive, by the way. Anybody, any executive, black, white, whatever, male, female, you would try to get to your team.
Yeah.
And again, I thought it was just a misunderstanding. But then I started reading. I went, oh my gosh. And then I saw the accusations. I said, this is not right. Yeah. I actually talked to Masai a little bit. And Masai, that guy was in our face too. So yeah, it's yada yada. Masai handled it with great class. And one thing he did, he kept very quiet. I just knew it didn't happen. I just knew that didn't happen. I just knew I knew that guy, saw that, whatever. And then when it's what's the saddest thing, Kyle? Especially in the year when we had the protests and we're all as people of white privilege. And I work in sports where I work alongside and cover tremendous black athletes, black people, male, female, whatever. We're all, doesn't matter color, don't care about color. Everybody's the same, should be the same. To know that became racial, and then that guy was accusing Masai of things. It it just didn't sit right with me
Yeah.
in so many ways. And then when it's so sad that we had to wait to get body cam footage
Yeah.
to vindicate him. Why wasn't he vindicated in the beginning? And dare I say, had that been a white executive, would that have been handled? I'm just throwing the question out. That's not what I'm saying. Would that have been handled differently?
Yeah.
That to me is sad. That's so sad the way that all played out. Did not like it. Did not surprise me when all that came out. I think Masai's handled it very, very well. But I will tell you, he was robbed. And for the rest of his life, I'm sure we'll talk about it. He was robbed of his moment.
Yeah.
That pure, unfettered joy of winning a championship, something you dreamed of, you worked for your entire life, is sullied by an incident that could have been and should have been totally avoided. Should have been and could have been totally avoided. Now, I look at that police officer, or do I think it was because Masai was black? And I'm not going to go there because I'm clearly a white guy, and they were stopping me too. But he had everything. He had all of it. It was clear who he was.
Yeah.
And that guy I just think the guy was just had a major chip on his shoulder. And you can't treat people of any color, of any persuasion, of any gender that way. Yeah. Unfortunate incident. Robbed Masai of the moment in the sun. I think he celebrated. But man, that'd be like, like going in a very limited way. Buying a brand new house, you work your entire life, you buy a brand new house, you get there with your wife, you're sitting outside, you're standing there, and the roof blows off, or it caves in, or it burns down. I would think that would probably be the same thing in his heart. Like, oh man, especially Masai, who does so much for foundations and charity and diversity. And he's done so much for bringing women into the front office, into sport, to bringing people of color into sport. It must have had a terrible reckoning for him, a terrible reckoning to know of where he's coming, the pot of gold, and it should feel a lot better. Felt so bad for him, so bad.
Yeah. Well, again, it speaks to his character as well, too, because he would have been well within his right to have launched a countersuit and all of that there. But for him to have just said, I'm happy this is in the past now, we can move on from it there. It just shows you what a class A human being he is there for not stooping to that level, which would have been well within his rights there.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I've seen all sides of this. One thing about Masai, you should not, and it speaks to the competitiveness. He's got great fire in him too, like great fire. I've seen it. I love it. It makes him great. The great ones have an inner fire that burns, a competitive fire. Masai Ujiri, can be cold-hearted too. Like, he has to be to fire Dwayne Casey. Yeah. People say, "Oh, how many coach of the year you fire?" Take away the franchise player, but it's all within his competitive environment. But that other side of that competitive side of him is a man of tremendous faith. Someone who believes entirely that the world can be a better place. I mean, how many people can go into their phone and call up Barack Obama and call him a friend? Yeah. Who got a chance to meet Nelson Mandela and fights every single day because his hero is Nelson Mandela, and he fights for equality. He fights for equality. This last year for Masai Ujiri had to be such an awakening for him. Such an awakening. In some ways, though, a terrible awakening, what we've seen, but maybe some positive change. And maybe it takes darkness to shed light. And we've seen activism and advocacy and logic throughout this whole process. Black Lives Matter, Black History Month. To know that we're still a long way away, Kyle, but because of people like Masai Ujiri and so many others, we're getting better. Yeah. And we can do better. We can get better, and we're willing to get better. Yeah. And the people who aren't, screw them. Sorry, you got to live with hatred in your heart.